Welcome in to this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. Thanks for joining us. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, has put together their 53-man roster projection for your Kansas City Chiefs. And on today's show, we're going to go over 5 notable players that ESPN says are going to get cut, that will not make the final roster. We'll tell you who those 5 individuals are and go over the cap savings in just a bit. Before we do, our friends or our frenemies, however you want to call them, over at Bill's Breakdown, Moose and the gang, they challenged us. They said, there's no way you guys can get 50 subs off today's video. I said, Moose, you call yourself Moose, for crying out loud, all right? You're with the Bills Mafia, all right? I don't want to hear it from you, man. We can do it. We can prove them wrong. Subscribe now for daily Kansas City Chiefs coverage, news and rumors. We also have live shows each and every week, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more. Best part about it, 100% free. Let's get 50 subs off today's video. Prove them wrong. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. Who's in? Who's out? On today's show, we will go over the 5 names that ESPN is projecting will not make the 53-man roster for the Kansas City Chiefs. And we begin with none other than Joshua Williams at the corner position. Joshua Williams, I'll put it this way, folks. He is being paid way too much. And I know the saying about talking about another man's wallet and all that, but let's just be frank. $3.4 million for what you're getting out of Joshua Williams is just absurd. The only way I would consider bringing back Joshua Williams for the role that he's playing is if he is willing to take a pay cut. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you don't have a ton of cash to spend right now. You cannot justify that type of money for this production. All right? Look at that right there. See how far I can extend my arm. Oh, my arm's gone. No, you can't justify it. You simply can't. Joshua Williams, unless he's willing to take a pay cut, he has got to go. Because here's the reality. You don't need him at this point. Look at who the Chiefs have at corner. McDuffie, Watson, Fulton, Noah Williams. I could keep going. I can't afford to pay Joshua Williams $3.4 million. If he wants to stay, take a pay cut or get out of town. Simple as that. Should the Chiefs cut Joshua Williams? You're in charge. It's our pin comment today. Might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. C for cut, K for keep. Up to you, Josh. You want to be a part of a championship team? Take less money. Simple as that. Up next, Cam Jones. Who? Cam Jones is our next cut candidate that the folks at ESPN is projecting the Chiefs move on from. The Chiefs can save over $1 million by moving on from Cam Jones. And Cam Jones, I know he played in all 17 games last year, mostly as a special teams guy, but he didn't really do all that much for Kansas City with just 19 tackles, 1 QB hit. And when you look at this roster at the linebacker position, I think this is a sneaky good group for the Kansas City Chiefs that doesn't get enough credit. You brought back Nick Bolton. You got Leo. You got Drew. I'm very high on Jeffrey Bassa. There's better options on this team than Cam Jones at this point. You do not have to be content with Cam Jones. And I think, to put it in the simplest of terms for my friends out there, folks, is that this is not about money. I don't have a problem with paying Cam Jones that chunk of cash. And this is not about saving $1.03 million. This is about saving the roster spot and using it for something better. And I think that not only do they have better options than him at the linebacker position, but they also have better ways they can use that roster spot instead of wasting it on Cam Jones. This one, folks, I think a lot of people are actually going to like this. Skyy Moore is out of here. The 2022 second-round pick. His time finally comes to an end. And I think that's the key word the Chiefs fans are saying to themselves, finally. I love Brett Veach, best GM in football. He's done a phenomenal job with this organization. And I don't think he gets enough credit because think about the hand he was dealt when this team was in salary cap hell when he took over for John Dorsey and what this organization has become, right? Well, one of his biggest mistakes, maybe his very worst draft pick, was Skyy Moore. And you move on from Skyy Moore, you save 1.58, but it's the roster spot here. I mean, it has been abysmal for Skyy Moore. When he's been on the football field, he hasn't been good. He's had struggles staying healthy. I mean, it's just been all bad for Skyy Moore. There's nothing you can say positively. And the thing about Skyy Moore, I think that's the most frustrating. It's not a lack of opportunity. It's not a lack of chances that he's had to prove himself. Believe me, the Chiefs have wanted Skyy Moore to play a significant role and given him every chance. But he hasn't done shit. It's time. It's time. And I look at some of these other guys that are there competing for that spot. Nako's a hell of a lot better. Tyquan Thornton's looked very good in training camp to this point. It's time to count your losses and move on from Skyy Moore. You're not going to get every draft pick right. That's just the nature of the business. But Skyy Moore, hate to say it in this way, but it's got to go. It's time. Should the Chiefs release Skyy Moore, your chance to be the GM here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Type Y for yes, in for no, weigh in, and tell us what you think. Up next is Robert Tonyan at the tight end position. The much talked about player in Chiefs training camp who has looked very good and has been one of the standouts to this point. The former Green Bay Packer, you move on from him, you're saving just over $1 million against the cap. I'll say this. I like what I've seen from Robert Tonyan in the offseason program and into training camp. All of those things were very good. But the reality is Robert Tonyan is 31 years old. And I think what the Chiefs are going to be asking themselves with Robert Tonyan is he fooling us? Is the version that we've seen the last couple of months, is that the legit Robert Tonyan? Or when the lights actually come on in meaningful action when he's playing first-team defenses, is he going to be that guy there? There we go. Finger. There we go. That didn't do anything last year. He's got work to do. I think one could argue that the preseason for Robert Tonyan is more important for him than about any other player. Because here's what the Chiefs have to ask themselves, all right? Robert Tonyan has got to show up in the preseason, number one. And then number two, do you want to carry 4 tight ends? Because obviously you're not getting rid of Kelsey, Gray, or Wiley. And then is Tonyan worth taking a roster spot from another position to go with 4 tight ends? That's a tough call the Chiefs have to ask themselves. We'll see. We got one more cut candidate from ESPN to get to in a moment, but first, I have an insane deal, my friends, as these Chiefs cutoff hoodies are on sale now. At one point, they were 55 Benjamins. Now they're only 33. I know it's hot, but this is short sleeve. And you'll be thanking yourself later when you get this thing. Chatsports.com/Chiefs sale to get yours today. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. All sorts of different shapes and sizes to your liking. And we also have other Chiefs merchandise at that same link. Go see for yourself now. Chatsports.com/Chiefs sale to get yours today. Last on the list is Chris Roland-Wallace at the corner position. It would appear that his days are likely numbered. You're not saving a ton by moving on from Roland-Wallace, just about $960,000 for a player that played in all 17 games. And I think when it comes to Roland-Wallace, he's one of these players that, you know, we talk about these cut candidates and we see some flaws, right? I see flaws in Skyy Moore and, you know, Joshua Williams and some of these others here. I actually don't think Chris Roland-Wallace is a bad football player. He's just not good enough for the Kansas City Chiefs. When I'm talking about all those corners we mentioned earlier and guys like Jamari Connor, there's just not room. It's a good problem to have. You have depth at this corner position that you did not have in 2024. I'll say this. The silver lining for Chris Roland-Wallace, I don't think he's going to be unemployed very long. I don't even think that he goes to the practice squad. I think he signs somewhere else and ends up on another team's active roster. He's too good not to make somebody's roster, but he's not good enough for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Chris Roland-Wallace, happy trails. Best of luck to you. Everybody wave. Everybody wave goodbye. Chris Roland-Wallace. I like him. Good story. But Kansas City can do better than Chris Roland-Wallace at this point. I think that he'll get a chance elsewhere, and I expect him to still have a decent career, just not in Kansas City at this point. It's a good problem to have. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for? You got to subscribe to the channel as we bring you the latest happenings throughout all of training camp here on the channel. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. It is 100% free. Doesn't cost you a thing. And whether we're talking training camp updates here on the channel, maybe we're giving you news and rumors, whatever it may be, we're going to cover every single detail that you need to know throughout training camp in the coming weeks ahead. Lock us in because we're in for quite the ride here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report as we're just getting started. Not to mention, we got watch parties coming up very soon as well, including that game against the Cardinals week 1 in just a few days from right now. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV to subscribe now for free. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We shall see you next time right here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report.